Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Force here with some more Friday Night Magic. Today we're going to be playing the Bounce and Boon deck. This is a fun, techy little deck that I'm interested, I'm very interested in showing you. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a gameplay video with it today. We're going to draw a new hand though, because that opening hand is horrendous. This one isn't much better because we do only have 1 Plains, but I don't want to go down to 6, and we do have the 2 Soul Wardens. So I'm going to say yes, keep this hand. Alright, so the whole idea of this deck, much like all of the Duels decks, the name sort of speaks to what the deck is about. So this deck is called Bounce and Boon. It's got, the bounce is that we've got a lot of cards that return our permanents or creatures to our hand, or remove them from play and then bring them back into play. And the idea is that we have a lot of things to trigger off of that to gain life, affect opponents' creatures, pump up our own creatures, all sorts of fun stuff like that. Alright, so he just played a 2/1 Gravecrawler. I could play this. We would have to return a permanent to our hand, in which I'd probably return the land, or I could just play a second Soul Warden right now. I think we'll play a second Soul Warden right now. Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. And then during our attack phase, we can attack because the Gravecrawler is unable to block. Now, if you are coming to this Magic the Gathering video off of watching some of my Hearthstone videos, I do try to explain some of the various things going on, because Magic is definitely a much more complicated game with a lot more layers than Hearthstone. Hearthstone is obviously incredibly successful. It's a great game, it's a fun game, but it's meant to be easy to play, easy to pick up. And Magic is, again, just a little more complex, a little more in-depth, so I try to explain what's going on. Right, he's playing a Black Cat. This is a 1/1 creature. When it dies, I am going to have to discard a card at random, so I have to be very careful. When I attack, the fact that he can block with that and then force me to discard a card at random. All right, during his attack phase, he's swinging at me for 2 now. I'm just going to take the damage. I'm choosing not to block. That's another big difference between Hearthstone and Magic. In Hearthstone, you attack and you choose which opponent's creatures to eliminate. In Magic, the player you're attacking, you're trying to attack the player's health directly, and they get to decide if they want to block or not. All right, so we're going to play this 2/3 Skyfisher, and then when it comes into play, we have to return a permanent to our hand. We're going to choose a Plains. And then we haven't played a land for a turn, because in Magic you can play 1 land a turn, so we're going to put down our land. And now I've got that big old 2/3 flyer in play. Now we could attack with either one of these, but then he would just block, and the Soul Wardens are so valuable to me, because whenever any creature comes into play, even my opponent's creatures, I gain 1 life. So it's a very valuable card, and I wouldn't want to attack in the Nat just to have my thing discarded. All right, he's going to play Lord of the Undead. This is going to pump up his other zombies, +1/+1. Those are both zombies. It also allows him to return a zombie card from his graveyard to his hand. He will then swing at me with the 3/2. I'm going to let that go through. I'm going to let that go through, because I'm going to want to start chipping away his health. I know I'll be gaining health from my life gain. In fact, I gained 2 health from both my Soul Wardens when his Lord of the Undead came into play. So yeah. Oh my gosh, we're so screwed for mana this game. All right, we're going to play Alone Missionary. This is a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, I gain 4 life, but then I also gain 2 life off of both those Soul Wardens. And then, now I'm up to 29, I will attack him for 2 in the air with my core Skyfisher. Let's bring him down to 17, and then it'll be his turn. So let me show you some of what we got in our hand. We can't play these yet, but when we can, it'll be great indeed. We've got the Flicker Wisp. It's a 3/1 flying. Comes into play, I remove a permanent from the battlefield, and then at the beginning of the next end step, I return it back to the battlefield. So what that does is it allows me to, like, remove this from play, and then bring it back into play, at which point I regain that life. So trigger effects like that. We also have the Restoration Angel, which is sort of the same. This is just for non-angel creatures that we control, but it also has Flash, which means we can play it as an instant, making it very good in that sense. And he's swinging with the 3/2. I could block with my 2/1, but then he just replays the zombie because he can play it from his graveyard. So we just let that damage go through. And at this point, my idea is just going to be continuously hit him in the air with my Skyfisher. And that's basically it. And unfortunately, I am so mana screwed this game that I really don't have much of a I don't have much of a choice. Like, we really need, if we can get up to 4 lands, we're going to be able to play the Solomon, which lets me get a land into play when he comes into play. But until then, we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs. So yeah, we've got the Solomon. It's a 2/2, comes into play. I guess I get a basic land from my graveyard into the battlefield tapped, and then when it dies, I also get to draw a card. We've got this Sunblast Angel. This thing's amazing. It's 4/5 flying. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all tapped creatures. We also have mechanics to tap our opponent's creatures, so fun stuff like that. He's going to attack with the Bloodghast as well. So if I block that, it just comes into play when he replays a land anyways. I don't know if he's played a land this turn. I actually wasn't paying attention. Let me think about this. Yeah, we'll just take that. We're just gonna take the 5. I've got a feeling I can outpace him if it stays on this trajectory with me hitting him in the air, but me gaining life every time creatures come into play. Oh, never mind. There's Tendrils of Corruption, so he's gonna now kill my creature. And so now I no longer have that flying creature, plus he gains a life. All right, so here's a third land, so we can play the Flicker Wisp, and that's what we're gonna do. I wasn't planning on attacking with this thing anyways, so we're gonna play the Flicker Wisp, pull this from the battlefield. We gain 2 life from Flicker Wisp coming into play off of our Soul Wardens. And then we go here, we're not gonna attack. We move into the end step triggers. We get that back into play. We gain the 4 life from him hitting the battlefield, the 2 life from both Soul Wardens, and we're up to 31. But again, once more, we need more lands. We actually desperately need that 4th land so that we can get into that 5th land, because we really need to pull into 6 for the Sunblast Angel. And the Sun Titan is this card's unbelievable. So it's a 6/6 Vigilance, which means it doesn't tap when it attacks. It allows us to block with it after an attack phase. But also, when it enters the battlefield, plus whenever it attacks, we get to pull a permanent with casting cost 3 or less from our graveyard and put it into play. Now the great thing is, he just played this. The great thing is, most of the cards in this deck are 3 or less, so that means we're able to pull like a vast majority of our cards back, which is really awesome. All right, so he's attacking with all of those. We've got the flyer now, so we can go ahead and do that trading. I could get rid of, let's see. I could block one of these. He's gonna just be able to get it back anyways, but I guess we'll just wait for now, because we're not in like a desperate situation yet. We can afford to lose some life. Until we get into a desperate situation, I don't want to go too crazy with my blocking. Keeping my fingers crossed for another land. We do not get another land, plus we get a card that costs more than what we can play. This is really, we are getting actually incredibly screwed this game. I'm surprised we're still hanging on, given how mana screwed we are and how we've got so many heavy casting cost creatures in our hand here. This is quite unfortunate, to be honest with you. It's not working out very well for us. I mean, we are technically winning, like he's at 16 and we're at 26, but soon he's gonna, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a close game, to be honest with you, even though we outpace him in life and we do have that flying creature. He's got a black deck, so he's got removal. Like, there's lots of things that I need to be concerned about. All right, we're gonna let it go through. It's a lot of damage though. This is actually a heavy hitting turn. Bringing us now down to 18. He's up at 16. Okay, there we go. So we finally got the 4th land. With this, we could Restoration Angel or we could Solemn. I'm gonna go with the Solemn. This is gonna get us a land, plus it'll give us a nice chump blocker because we don't mind blocking with him because we draw a card. So we gain the life. We get a land into play tapped when it enters the battlefield. So we're gonna get this. It's gonna put us up to that 5th land. And then we hit him in the air, bringing him down to 13. And this turn, we're probably going to end up doing some blocking. Because if we draw that 6th land next turn, we could Sun Titan, or if he's tapped out, that 6th land will let a Sunblast Angel, which would be obviously an incredible boon to us, because that's going to get rid of a majority of his creatures. Although we would run the risk, when this thing dies, of losing our Sun Titan. So maybe I Sun Titan first? Not sure, we'll find out. Here's another black cat, good lord. Okay, so we gain the life off of that. Now remember, he's at 13. At the very least, I will be blocking with this guy. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna block, do I want to block both of them? I mean, they both come back. I don't want to block the black cats. Let me just block this for now. I don't know if he's got a land to trigger the landfall to bring it back into play. I'm not sure. But we'll find out. All right, so all that damage goes through. We're at 12. This goes in the graveyard. We draw a card. So we're going to have 2 card draws to potentially get a land. That was the first one. Here's the second one. Neither. All right. Well, we could do this, which is going to pump up our creatures based on their casting costs. Or we could gain a bunch of life. But that would also give us some blockers coming up, and obviously the gain life will be huge for us. And then we could play this next turn potentially if we still haven't drawn into our 6 mana. Could also Restoration Angel. That would let us gain that 4 life once by bouncing him back. Oh, you know, we can actually do a little... Yeah, we can actually do a few fun things. So we can exile and return immediately. And then bounce that back once. We can't bounce it back twice, though, I don't think. Actually, yes, we can. Oh, no, we can't, because that's gonna... Yeah, that's only happening once. Alright, we're gonna move into combat phase. You know what? Because I'm low... Let me think here. So if I play this, that bounces him... I can bounce him back and then use the Flicker Wisp to bounce that back, but why? There's no reason for the middleman. We're just gonna go with the Lone Missionaries right now. We're gonna go with 2 of them. So we gain the 4 life from it coming into play, plus the 2 from the Soul Wardens. And then we're gonna do that a second time. This also gives us a bunch of blockers now. Okay, so we get a bunch of life. We get some extra blockers. He's down to 10. If nothing else happens, we might play the Crusade next turn if we don't get into that 6th land for either the Sunblast Angel or the Sun Titan. I mean, the deck is really fun because you can do all sorts of like funny things with all the bounce back and returning from the graveyard and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. But we just got off to such a slow start that it's still sort of a rough going here. He's actually just going to attack with 1 because he's worried about dying. That's hilarious. So we are just going to let that 3 go through. Yes, so he was worried about us hitting him and just straight up dying. All right. So this comes into play. I put a 3/3 Golem into play. The Golem has first strike as well. We could Restoration Angel to gain some life, but we could just do the Crusade, which is going to pump up our creatures a bit. And I actually like that play. We're going to toss the Crusade down. It's going to pump up our creatures. +1/+1 for every white... or no, I'm sorry. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, I get to put 1/1 counter on each creature that I control. So yeah, next turn we're going to be able to start pumping up our creatures, actually pretty significantly. Alright, so we just hit him for that. So why didn't he push a lot last turn? Because he was worried about dying. He was worried if he attacked with too much, I would have made him swing at him with fatal damage, which is why he didn't attack. So we've got this in play now. So next turn, we're gonna play a creature. It's gonna put a 1/1 counter on each creature that we control. If we draw a land, we can play the Sun Titan and then get a second creature in play from the Sun Titan, which would let us do 2 counters. So, well, let's see. He's gonna toss down a Doomblade, killing off my flyer. Okay. Now remember, that could be fine potentially if I get the mana for the Sun Titan. I keep talking about this like hypothetical situation that has yet to arrive, but boy. But if we get the mana for the Sun Titan, we're going to play the Sun Titan, get the Flicker Wisp back, use the Flicker Wisp to double gain life from the Lone Missionary. I mean, that will be an amazing turn if this comes about. He's going to swing with that, and we will just take it all. Yeah, let's check that top deck now. It's going to be a pretty big turn. Okay, there it is. All right, here we go. Here's the turn. Ready? Oh boy, I'm really excited. Okay, so Sun Titan is a play. There's no question about that. Play the Sun Titan. Sun Titan comes into play, we gain 2 life. All our creatures get +1/+1. We then also pull a permanent with 3 or less from our graveyard into the battlefield. We are going to choose the Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp is going to come into play. All our creatures get 1/1. We gain 2 life. And then we're also going to bounce this back, giving, at the end step, all our creatures +1/+1 and even more life. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're going to Flicker Wisp this back. Flicker Wisp comes into play. We gain that 2 life. I love this. This is amazing. All right. So now we've got 2 counters on the stack for that. Gets applied to our creatures. Oh my god. All right, let's see. So I could attack with these, but he has got 4 blockers. I only have 4 attackers, so he would just chump block, and we would just lose our stuff. Well, if he double blocked any one of these, so he could double block both of these and would lose both of these, but he would take 8. So he actually can't do that, because then he would die. He could double block both of these, and he would take 6, bringing him down to 1, and then he'd be dead in an upcoming turn. Oh my gosh, damn it. Oh well. I took too long. I took too long. Oh well. My cards get another counter. Let's just hope he doesn't have mass removal right now, because I actually wanted to attack that turn. I was talking you guys through it, but you know, that's too bad. So now it's looking, the odds are pretty obviously heavily in our favor at this point, unless he has mass removal, which he could potentially have. Although if he did mass removal, the Sun Titan would likely still be in play. Yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming if he had it by now, he would have played it. So it looks like we're probably free and clear here. Looks like we are likely all set. So this was fun. You know, the game was long. It got off to a slow start for us, but we were able to delay him long enough. Short target on thing. Okay, camper. Okay, that's fine. So he's destroying our creature. That obviously doesn't give us the flying damage anymore, and he's got. So we haven't won yet, right? Because we don't have the blockers. In fact, we may not win. We may actually not win at all. But I don't know. I'm liking our odds. We can toss the duplicate in play, which will let us get rid of his. Lord of the Undead, which will be pretty huge. We could also Restoration Angel. We would lose the counters for the creature that we bounce back, but we could get that extra effect and stuff. I don't mind the duplicate for the sake of... We don't have 7, so we can't even play 2 creatures right now. If I Restoration Angel, I can get rid of one of my small creatures and bring it back. We could also, I could use this to save one of my creatures that he tries to fatally kill. So yeah, let me actually do that. So we're gonna go into the attack phase, because Restoration Angel can be played as an instant. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go for the attack phase and swing with everything, okay? Now when attacking, we get to pull something back. So we're gonna choose, I don't wanna remove one of my flying creatures. Exile another target permanent. Oh, and then I can just return whenever. Well, let me just do this. Let me do the Skyfisher because it's a beefier body, and we're gonna use it to just return a land because I don't want to return anything else. So we return a land. That triggers, comes into play. So he's being hit pretty hard right now. Okay. So now we've got big beats going his way, right? So he's gonna be picking his blockers. Now, if he tries to jump block and kill anything, I'm gonna save it with the Restoration Angel. Now, unfortunately, we're gonna end up discarding 2 cards here. Let's see what he decides to do. He's figuring out his math here. So he's going for that to try to get the kill on that. He obviously needs to block the 10-10 because he's dead. I mean, he needs to block everything. Well, he can let one go through technically, but I'm just trying to pay attention to if he tries to double block. He's also running out of time. That's something that he needs to be wary of. So he's gonna get one of the 6s go through. Because if he doesn't, okay, he's not trying to kill anything, so I don't need to try to save anything. So we're just gonna let it all happen. Actually, wait. I need to pause real quick. Shoot. Oh, I was too slow. Damn it. All right, well, the Black Cat's gonna trigger. I tried to, but didn't end up happening. Okay, so we discard a land, and then we also lose the duplicate. I'm actually okay with that. Wait, he had 3? Wow, I did not realize he had 3 Black Knights. All right, well, that's fine. So we're gonna hold on to the Restoration Angel. I can play it at the end of I can play it at the end of his turn, or I can play it to save one of my creatures if he tries to kill it. But he's at 1. He's only got 2 creatures in play, so we're feeling pretty good at this point. I mean, again, the only chance that he has is mass removal right now, but he has to do 5 across the board. So here's a Flesh Bag Marauder enters the battlefield. Each player sacks a creature. So I can't save sacrificing with Restoration Angel. I think sacrificing, besides tapping for mana, is the fastest effect in the game. So it's something that I can't prevent that from happening. Sack just goes through. So we're gonna choose just this guy. We're gonna choose a ground creature, and he picks his creature to sack. Yeah, so I couldn't like prevent the sack with the Restoration Angel. I can prevent him from destroying a creature with the Restoration Angel from target removal, but the sacrifice is something I cannot prevent. So, all right, so he only has 3 blockers. We've got 5 attackers, so that is that. Pretty much nothing happening at this point. You can't do anything about this. So we move into the attack phase. We swing with the attack. That triggers. We get to pull a creature into play. Let's get the Lone Missionary. Gaining more life. What a crazy game, huh? I mean, this deck is kind of unreal, especially when it goes off like this. So even if he declares blockers, we've got the flyer, and that is the victory. That was such a crazy game. I mean, that's how this deck, that's just kind of how this deck works. Again, it can be a really slow roll. It was particularly slow, but I don't know, I'm pretty happy. I mean, we ended up winning the game, so I'm not gonna complain much about it. All right, I guess we'll hold on to this hand. It's not bad. I don't like not having a Soul Warden in my opening hand, to be perfectly honest with you. But this isn't a terrible hand because we've got the lands, and we've got a 2, 3, and a 4 drop, and we have the 4 lands. So this is a pretty reliable hand, even though it's not, you know, it's not very like, oh, like we're gonna pull off a huge play here, you know. If we just get that one more thing, this is gonna be amazing. No, this is much more of a, okay, we've got steady plays for the next few turns, but beyond that, nothing exceptional is gonna happen early on. But as we saw last game, I mean, oh my god, now we're getting Mana Flood. This freaking game, man. All right, so we're gonna play Lone Missionary, gaining 4 life when it comes into play. It also gives us a nice 2/1 body. And now that he's gonna sack his land, we're gonna have a better idea of what deck he's playing. Let's take a look at what his second color is. Blue. All right, so blue-black. Discard, counters, removal, some bounce, you know, all sorts of fun stuff like that. Is what we should expect from him. But again, please don't draw another land. I'm really so angry. Okay, thank the Lord. All right, so we're gonna play the Court Street Denizen. It's a 2/2. Whenever another white creature enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature an opponent controls. And obviously, lots of white creatures will be entering the battlefield with this deck, so that works out quite well. He's gonna last gasp, and it's gonna kill. Ooh, wow, really? Kill the Lone Missionary? Probably should have killed the Court Street Denizen. But anyways, he kills the Lone Missionary, which means I don't get to hit him for 2 that turn. So, c'est la vie. C'est la vie, c'est la vie. He's gonna play a Time Ebb, put target creature on top of owner's library. All right, so as you can see, all sorts of delaying tactics and fun stuff like that is what the opponent has running here. So that obviously sets us back a turn. We're gonna play the Court Street Denizen. Again, because we were Time Ebb. Time Ebb actually really sucks. Well, it's a good card, but it sucks for me. Because not only does it bounce our creature from play, but it also sets me back a turn because I don't get to draw in whatever I was going to draw into prior to that Time Ebb happening. All right, he's gonna play a Guild Mage, and we're gonna be able to tap that and attack into him in this upcoming turn. The other thing, we could just tap it with this. Although, I mean, a double tap doesn't do us any good. But we should get both these creatures in play because then I can Restoration Angel and do a double trigger on the upcoming turn. Actually, a triple trigger. So we are gonna Lone Missionary. So let's just tap this creature. It's gonna let us attack into him. Let's tap that creature. Okay, what are you doing? For the love of God. I'm guessing he has removal. I'm pretty sure this effect will still resolve though, even if he kills this. Oh, he's using that opportunity to sack his Terramorphic Expanse? Okay. Whatever. Okay, and then we'll go into our attack phase. Like this. He's going to Last Gasp. Again. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. We're gonna go ahead and play the Core Hookmaster in our second main phase. That's gonna stop him from untapping in this upcoming turn. And now we've got the Restoration Angel, so that's gonna let us tap a creature again with an attack phase. So he's gonna Guild Mage, forcing me to discard a card is what I anticipate. Oh, he actually chooses to draw a card, fair enough. Fair enough. I figured since I had such a small hand that he was gonna force discard on me. All right. Oh, the Sunblast Angel. That is exactly what we need, and we have the perfect mana. Beautiful. We're going to throw down the Sunblast Angel. Please don't have a counterspell. Sunblast Angel comes into play, destroys all tapped creatures. The Guild Mage would have actually been my bane, believe it or not. You might think, Force, why would you not save the Sunblast Angel until he's got like lots of huge creatures in play that you want to kill? Because the Guild Mage, at this point in the game, my hand is so small, the Guild Mage forcing me to discard cards, which is his second activated ability here, that would have demolished me. I would have, like this turn, for example, with one hand, he would have forced a discard, and there would have been nothing I could do about it, so. It's a potentially scary situation. Ravenous Rats comes into play, target opponent discards a card. Gosh darn it. There goes my Restoration Angel. That really sucks. That really sucks. All right, well, we've got the 4/5. He can block it with the Morai, but then he ends up losing the Morai. We're gonna keep our hand empty. And I will attack with these two, all right? He could just block that, though, and let the 4 go through. So I am just going to attack with a 4/5. I don't want him to just block this and kill it outright without him losing a creature. So he is just choosing to let it go through. So that's what he would have done. If I attacked with the 2/2, he would have just killed it, just like that. So I'm glad I didn't make that move. And now we're just running off the top deck, and this is a much scarier situation. Now, we're in a great spot. We've got 28 health. He's at 11. But, all right, so what did we end up losing? We ended up losing a Solomon and a Light from Within. Actually, I don't mind losing both of those. That's not necessarily the worst thing. All right. Flying, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. Oh my gosh. We lose this game. Yeah, I'm pretty positive we lose this game. This thing is turning into an 8/8. Now we can't attack him in the air because he's got that 6/5 flyer. So that's it. We're done. We're done for in a couple of turns here. He is at 11 though, so I'm gonna take a gamble here. I'm gonna take all this. If he swings at me with everything, I'm gonna take it all. Well, I mean, with the 2 flyers, I won't block because we could do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But then the turn after, we're pretty much guaranteed dead. All right, so I need to somehow draw into more damage, and there are possibilities. So the only chance I have of winning this game is not blocking right now. I do also have another Sunblast Angel, so that would obviously be huge. He's just gonna swing for 8. That's actually his smartest move. If he had swung for both, we could have potentially won this game, but I'm pretty sure at this point we just lose because now he's got a 16/16 flyer. And yeah, so next, yeah, I mean we're pretty much screwed. And another Plains. We're not dead at the moment, but we might as well just be dead at the moment. Gosh, I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing that we can do. Well, let's just see what happens. So I block his 16/16 this turn. Let the 6/5 go through. And I don't know what else could even happen, to be honest with you. Okay, so we block that. The 6/5 goes through, becomes a 12/12. This card is ridiculous, as you've seen this game. So we gain a life off of that. That gives him an extra blocker. He's gonna draw a card. Probably hoping for some form of instant removal. Pacifism doesn't matter. We're dead anyways. So I can pacify one of his creatures, but he attacks us for 12 in the air next turn, and that's that. Oh well, ended up losing this second game, but whatever. It was good nonetheless, and that first game was crazy. That first game was absolutely insane. All right, so now what else to do right now? Okay, it's just playing stuff. Don't even need to do it. All he needs to do right now is hit me in the air with that 12/1. Oh gosh, that'd have been funny. Imagine if he played 2 creatures and that would have saved us for a turn and potentially allow us to win. All right, so here we go. Swings it for 12. Nothing we could do. That's a loss. That'll do it. Well, we ended up going 1-1 in this episode. I still think this is a good deck. I might end up tweaking it around a little bit. I think the build that I have right now is okay. And again, that first game was intense. All right, so starting off here, we've got 4 of the Soul Wardens. Ideally, you want this in your opening hand so that you can get that in play immediately and just snowball the life gain effects off of it. Get the Core Skyfisher. We're sitting on 3 of those. So again, this is the idea. We've got cards to bounce cards back and then allowing us to double and triple off effects such as the Lone Missionary life gain. The White Main Lion, same thing. It's got Flash, playing it as an instant, and it bounces, allows us to bounce a creature back to our hand. We've got the Pacifism, 2 of these to lock down opponents' creatures. The Blade Splicer comes into play, get a 3/3 token. It's a Golem, and then all of Golem creatures I have first strike when it's in play. So again, this is a card. I'll play it. I'll get that 3/3. I'll bounce it back and get it back into play and get another 3/3. Keep on doing that. The Emancipation Angel, it's a 3/3 for 3. Enters the battlefield, return a permanent you control to your hand. Also, obviously, has flying, which makes it pretty huge. Flicker Wisp, 3/1 flying, removes a permanent from the battlefield and then puts it back into play at the end step. This is like the best way to double trigger those effects because you don't have to replay the card. It automatically replays itself. What a creepy ass picture though, huh? The Core Hookmaster, it's a 2/2. Again, comes into play. Here's a triggered effect. Tap a creature an opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its next untap step. A really great card to Flicker Wisp. So you get that extra effect and they stay tapped for 2 turns. Their next turn and the next attack and blocking phase after that. Court Tree Denizen, whenever a white creature enters the battlefield, tap a creature that an opponent tap a creature an opponent controls. The Solomon, which is the 2/2, enters the battlefield. We get a land into play tapped. Again, you bounce that back, you get that land back. When this dies, I also get to draw a card. Restoration Angel, flying 3/4 flash. It's got that bounce back effect and return into play. Light from Within. Each creature you control gets +1/+1 for each white mana symbol on its mana cost. Nice way to pump up our creatures. The Cloud Goat Ranger, it's a 3/3. Enters the battlefield, you get to put 3/1/1 white soldier tokens onto the battlefield. I can also tap 3 of those to tap 3 untapped and give him +2/+0 and flying till end of turn. Or I can just keep bouncing this back to get a whole bunch of small tokens in play, which especially synergizes with this, the Crusade card. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Again, you can imagine the synergy with some of these other cards. Duplicant allows me to exile a creature, turns Duplicant into the power and toughness and the creature types of exiled creature. Can be very good just as creature removal to get rid of opponent's threats. The Sun Titan, only running 1 of these right now. I might consider running a second, maybe replacing a Sunblast Angel, but Sun Titan is so amazing. 6/6 Vigilance, enters the battlefield. I take a permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less from my graveyard and put it straight in the battlefield. Sun Titan is such a good card. And then the Sunblast Angel comes into play, destroy all tapped creatures. Honestly, in that last game, I may have almost wanted the Sun Titan instead because getting those cards back into play and then tripling and doubling those, or whatever, triggering those effects again is really good. But anyways, yeah, that's a deck list, guys. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Friday Night Magic, taking a look at the Bounce and Boon deck. Stay tuned next Friday for another episode. Keep watching and keep owning.